بسم الله. Fundamental issue in existence is in every heart.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on what time you are joining us. Welcome to Shaykh Fadhlalla Haeri Foundation Dialogue on this wonderful Saturday. We're almost 2 weeks, we've passed the 2 weeks of Ramadan already. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Salaam alaikum, and greetings to all of you. Today we have reflections on Ubudiya and Ruhaniyya, an uncommon dialogue between Shaykh Fadhlalla Haeri and Dr. Adnan AlAdnani. Each phase of Ramadan brings with it a different feel as the outer horizon of possibilities and activities shrink and the inner domain of the heart starts to still. And in that stillness, perhaps we can better sense the harmony of the spheres, the song of life, the rhythmical beat of the heart, remembering its source and origin, Allah. Today's uncommon dialogue between Shaykh Fadhlalla Haeri, who many of you already know as a modern-day Sufi master and exponent of self-knowledge, self-transformation, and awakening, and one of his students, Dr. Adnan AlAdnani. Dr. AlAdnani joins us today from Europe. Originally from Iraq, but schooled in Kuwait and Scotland, where he specialized in electronic and telecommunications engineering, fields in which he has published and also holds patents. In parallel with these studies, he was also on a transpersonal quest for a deeper understanding of how to make sense of his own Islamic heritage. He comes from a family of scholars, and how to square that with his own scientific research, which then extended into quantum physics, philosophy, religion, and spirituality. Encouraged by Shaykh Fadhlalla, he has also authored a book, Lights of Consciousness, in which he brings together this long-term concern about the mystery of the two sides of reality. He discovered through Shaykh Fadhlalla's approach that science reaches spirituality from the back door, and the discovery of consciousness is the unifying element. Through consciousness, he claims, we know the outer as well as the meaning and value of the inner. In his words, consciousness is the gateway of the heart. The program today focuses on two key terms and foundational concepts in Islamic metaphysical cosmology, Ubudiya and Ruhaniyya, worship and spirituality. Ubudiya, briefly, is most often translated as the state and actions of worship of God, while Ruhaniyya is usually translated as spirituality, being of the spirit or soul, the breath of God breathed into each one of us. Ubudiya is related to the word abd, as in Abdullah, which means worshipper of Allah, but which is also translated into English as the slave or servant of God. And here we run into problems of semantic associations. In popular consciousness, where freedom is prized above all else, it is antithetical for us modern folk to entertain the idea of being enslaved to anyone or anything. Ruh is related to a family of words with multiple shades of related meanings, such as spirit, breeze, rest, to go. I am sure our speakers today will enlighten us further. Suffice to say for now, that the state of Ubudiya and Ruhaniyya interact with each other dynamically. I would like to turn to Dr. Adnan first to open up today's dialogue. Please share with us your insights and thoughts into how these two states or intersecting planes of worship and spirituality connect.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, Munna, Shaykhna. Thank you for this encounter in this blessed month. Before going into some of the definitions and stuff, I would go into a prologue into the relating the Quran and especially this blessed month. That we recite based on outer constraints and restraints, the inner opens up to the Quran especially. And I feel that myself is an intimate relationship for this. And there's a few really, a few verses, 4 verses from Surah Al-Qiyamah that I would kind of reflect upon and ask Shaykhna also in relation to that, where the Quran effectively, as I see it, we start reading it, but it ends up reading us. So in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Surah Al-Qiyamah, the resurrection, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. This is an address to the Prophet, which is also an address, of course, to the highest in us. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه. Move not your tongue with it to hasten it. Ours it is to gather it and to recite it. So when we recite it, follow its recitation, then upon us is its clarification. Shaykhna, this is for me, sounds like is a journey from reading to being. Is that the correct understanding?
Also, if you go to Surah Al-Rahman, read the first 2 ayahs, 3 ayahs. Ar-Rahman.
Allama al-Quran.
So the pattern is already set as the first emergence of the kun fayakun. Then خلق الإنسان. Then علمه البيان. Then the tafsil comes from that cosmic oneness. Infinite varieties which can be distinguished by our feeble minds. It
was from the one to the one by the one. That's the only the.
And what appears to be twos and multitudes, and the Quran reassures us in a number of ways that nothing has been created except it is with its double, with its zawj, with its complementary, or with its opposite, with its plurality. But all of them point to their origin. Kullun yusabbihu bihamdih. Everything, even the killer of an innocent person, from a humanity point of view, is crime. But from haqiqah point of view, from rububiyyah, he is also doing a certain tasbih in a most perverted way. He wanted something, the other fellow wanted something, they quarrel. It is a dark side of illumined tasbih and worship. So where do you run to? فَأَيْنَ الْمَفَرُّ? That is Islam. You give in to it and you find there is only it. There is no you and it, and how do you do this? So that is why tafsil is important for a child growing up in intellect. The mind is a little mush to begin with. It has to be trained until such time, balagha ashuddah. Then you have hierarchy of reasons and referencing and contextualizing. So you are now intelligent. But this is a very basic intelligence. It's survival intelligence. What about emotional intelligence? It's subtler. What about higher and higher? And what about the pure source of intelligence itself? That is rububiyyah. That is Ruhaniyya. The source of it all is that precursor, which we can never define or quantify, which we call intelligence. That's it. And where do you run to? What can you deny? Then, now you are certain that these designs and these patterns are perfect within perfect upon perfect. What can you add or subtract? Now, nafs al-mutma'inna, you're certain that all of it has designs of perfection because they emanate from the most perfect essence, which encompasses all known and unknown. What an incredible gift. There's nothing more than that. And when that was offered to the heavens and the earth and the mountain, nothing could take it because It is absolute. And the absolute cannot be understood by the relative. So we have to die, mut qabla an tamut. That's it. Sajda is physical disappearance, placing the most important part of your faculties, your eyes, your face, on the origin of material existence, which is dust. What a wonderful, true act of worship. And instead of it being haughty and arrogant, oh, me. So there are these two extremes. One is, there is a nothingness which appears to be as you-ness, but that nothingness has imbibed divinity, because it has occurred because of the divine source, because of the Ubudiya, because of the Uluhiyya, because of the Ruhaniyya. So what a gift. What is there after that? Other than
Can I just, for the sake of our viewers, sorry to interrupt you, Shaykh Fadhlalla, we hadn't mentioned the word Rububiya, and just for the sake of all of those tuning in today, Adnan, maybe you can explain to us what Rububiya is. I touched on Ruhaniyya, yes, but Rububiya is equally the counterpoint to Ubudiya, isn't it?
Yes, traditionally that is indeed the case. So Rububiya is lordship and Ubudiya is the opposite, so they link. However, I mean, the reason is my preferring Ruhaniyya is that this issue of transcendence and immanence. So usually lordship is the transcendent. So it is beyond the beyond. However, Ruhaniyya is the immanent. It is that is within the heart. So there's the Jamali side and the Jalali side. So Ubudiya is majestic.
And for those who don't know what Jamali and Jalali are?
Jamali is beauty, and that is what is so much, where the intimacy is. So that's the reason for that. So in a sense, it's related, but in that sense. So going into the Ruhani aspect, I mean, going into the root word in Arabic, ruh, which is really an interesting word. I mean, from it says that, I'll read in Arabic and I'll translate. It says it's أصل يدل على سعة وفسحة واضطراد, which is basically means unbounded, expansive space. So, and from it you have rih, which is wind or breeze, and also comes raha. Raha is tranquility. So in the Surah Al-Rahman, I think Rawhun wa Rayhan, that is that state of tranquility. So all these encompass the domain of the ruh. So on the other side, we have ibadah, which is worship. And again, these translations of it, I think Sheikh Naman really, for me, really got to the point. It's absolute obsession. Is that right, Sheikh? Everybody's obsessed.
When that happens, then the abd and the ma'bud are indistinguishable. Then the abd is, if you like, essence, reality, presence, whatever in terms of life, is inseparable from the master. That is tawheed, that is union. All what we do in our life, every human being and most other evolved creatures, they try to see the point of connection between what appears to be cause and effect, comings and goings, whatever, the dualities, so that we are completely programmed in every aspect of our being, from cellular to mental to emotional to quest to desire, is to see the source of everything. Look at the child investigating, trying to see what happened here, where how does the grasshopper jump, and we are obsessed to find out connectedness. And once you are looking for connectedness, you are essentially seeking the continuation of it, its origin. How did it begin? How did I begin? And where will I end? We are, each one of us as human beings, whether intelligent or not, we are connected to an aspect of that intelligent drive. maybe to begin with, so as I am fulfilled, I'm comfortable, I am not threatened, on and on and on, until you lose the I. Then you enter into where Ubudiya is the true foundation of your quest. You're all the time seeking that which you want to love forever. So lose your so-called self, because the self is only an image of the soul. The ego is only a little darkness due to the light of the ruh, or of the soul, or the spirit. So we're already in every way programmed to be at one with the one. The rest is consciousness of it, cognizance of it, and constantly connecting to it, because that is the reason and purpose of your life and journey on earth. Once it becomes conscious, then you have completed the loop of the unconscious in you, subconscious in you, what you have been programmed for millions of years, and your will to do it. And that is why you have to confess, I witness that there is only one. To begin with, your witnessing is very flimsy. You are only repeating what you have heard, what seems all right, but until such time, there is no more you witness. There is that which you thought you are witnessing is the only reality. Then there is no more saying it. That's why Imam Ali Zain al-Abidin says, and if I to reveal to the common people what I know in my own heart of hearts, the best of the Muslims will slaughter me, because it is not understandable by, if you like, a very simple, untrained mind that is not connected with the heart. So as they say, it is odd, this is Buddha, or whatever other name they judge it. So the truth is that there is only truth. That's all. But you have to be honest as to where you are. If you pretend, the rahmah of Allah will show you and everybody else where you are by default. You will fail. You have to be honest and genuine as to which part of this ladder stretching from earth to the ultimate end of the universe and the cosmos. So you have to be honest. Not until you truly, completely gone beyond confusion, beyond spiritual hayra, beyond any uncertainties, then you're really in a zone from which certainty and uncertainty and the good and the bad and the known and the unknown emerge. Then you are not just calibrating with the source. You have no option other than truly, utterly singing the song that is emanating from the source. And that may be also keeping quiet. Silence is part of that song. There's no point in it. You immediately are reminded from the inner light that you are not in the right place, not in the right situation with culture or people or religion. Keep quiet. It's not your business. There is a master creator, organizer, governor. So you have to be concerned in being in oneness between your head, your body, your mind, your circumstances, the patch of earth in which you are standing. So context. Then there is nothing really that you truly are urged to say or do. It's already done in its essence, in its rayhan, in its perfume. So, but then you are at always seeking the duality. So you're also looking for your companions. You want to know people with whom, without even talking, you are in unison. This is a big gift, to be with people who are through the entire spectrum, from absoluteness to the relativeness of the moment you reflect each other. It's the ultimate gift. And you're very fortunate if you find people with whom you can enter into that cosmic dance. We're living at a time of darkness that you have to find people of that potential and share with them until their candle is lit. Initially, you find they have a bit of a candle, but the wick is being smudged. So this is the beginning of conduct. Akhlaq and suluk. You can't do that. It's wax. It's too hot. You can't put it. So you have to be correct in your adab, in your courtesy. Then the wick is there. Then hopefully by Allah's rahmah, a light will give it its spark. Light and fire is everywhere. We're actually walking in a field of fire. The same thing as we are walking in a field of arwah. But they haven't manifested because the right wombs have not occurred to invite that. The same thing with fire. Not until there is the right conditions for it to start, because it needs to be fed. It's alive. Like us, it has a birth and a death. It must have nourishment. And that nourishment is what gives it that recycling benefit. It's a miracle upon miracle upon miracle, joy upon joy upon joy, until such time there is nothing left except the scent and the ruh of the joy.
Shaykhna, also in relation to ibadah, you made a link to tasbih. Everything is existence is aiming for ibadah, but in Surah Al-Isra it says, تسبح له السماوات السبع والأرض ومن فيهن وإن من شيء إلا يسبح بحمده ولكن لا تفقهون تسبيحهم إنه كان حليما غفورا. The seven heavens and the earth and all that is therein glorify him, and there is not a thing but glorifies his praise. But you understand not their glorification. Truly he is ever forbearing, all forgiving. Again, the root sabbaha is related to transcendence, going up, going beyond, raising above. So in the also really, as there's a profound ayah and really one in the Surah Al-Muzammil, really is one of the earliest surahs that were revealed, the one wrapped in garments. I mean, this surah is an archetypal for spirituality and Ubudiya. I'll just focus on the seventh ayah. إِنَّ لَكَ فِي النَّهَارِ سَبْحًا طَوِيلًا. Indeed, for you by day is prolonged glorification. It's a difficult translation, but I found that really a commentary by Qashani that is, for me, captures it. He says, إن لك في نهار مقام القلب وزمان طلوع شمس الروح سبحا، أي سيرا وتصرفا وتقلبا في الصفات الإلهية ومقامات الطريق طويلا بلا أمد ونهاية. So I'll attempt to translate that, but it's quite. So for you, in the daytime of the station of the heart and the time of the rising of the sun of the ruh, sabhan, glorification or transcendence, that is a journeying and turning in the sifat al-ilahiyya, in the divine attributes and the stations bila amad wal nihaya, forever, eternally. So here the day is the station of heart, the arising of soul consciousness. Sabh is the transcendent journey into the divine attributes. Shaykhna, this very much reminds me of the second journey of the four journeys. Sayran, you're by Allah, with Allah. Isn't that?
Whilst conscious as well of otherness, because it's earlier on. You are still conscious and aware of otherness, but you are given hundreds of different flavors of Tawheed during the day. And the other wonderful thing is that it's already done and gone. That's why you have the ayahs of Sabbaha lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. It's already done. It is bil madi. It is not in time anymore. It is already that stamp is alastu bi rabbikum. It is eternal. It's not subject to time or place or people, or it has already happened. it's already kun. It is the dot of the noon. And where if you have that maqam of tawheedi, whatever comes to you highlights the tawheed. Just now we had these dogs here. They started barking. This is the tasbih, because something strange may have happened and this is unknown. So they refuse the unknown. La ilaha. No. Because they want certainty. They want connectedness. They want to be at ease. They want to be at. So once anything odd comes, we reject it. That is part of tasbih. Tasbih is not only in the positive, I see the connection. Also, the shadow of it is disconnect, unacceptable. This is evil, not good. So you have to, as far as insaniya, as far as presence in this world as a being, as a human being, you have to also say, this is not just. This is out of balance. You can't say, I am in another spiritual state. I don't know what's going on. You can't. So long as you are breathing, so long as you are carrying a body, so long as you have a memory, so long as you have a mind, you have to connect with this zone of dust and must and all of the other thing that goes on. But it does not overwhelm you. So you have to object to it. I don't know this. This is munkar. This is not, or it is going to cause more havoc. وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَّةً. And watch out for mischief that may be very far away from you. You say, it's not my business. What do you mean it's not my business? You are here as a viceroy. You are here as a steward on earth. There are other human beings that are the same as you. They all want the same thing. They want to have peace, quiet, contentment, so that they recollect by will the original cosmic light in their own heart. We're all the same. Different shape, different color, different zone, different culture, different ability to earn or whatever. But in essence, we want to have that absolute certainty that that which is in charge is the absolute source of all majesty, the absolute source of all beauty, and that is all what there is in reality, which is permanent, perpetual, eternal. Everything else are little flashes from it. So once you are certain of that, then you only see the light of Tawheed in what appears to be opposing dualities. So Sabhan Tawila, this is Sabhan Tawila. Here we are in the day, we're witnessing, we're seeing, we're hearing. All of it emanates from that cosmic one, sustained and energized by that, returns to it. What a glorious gift we have been given. But you need to truly be on the stage to perform as though it's the last thing you are doing. Not tomorrow or next year, or I'm still now, let me first do that. No, now. All what there is now. It's for that reason we enjoy being together, because it is in the now. And the now connects to eternity. It has, therefore, a spiritual potency. You may hear the recording, it may reinforce it, but it has not got the same impact upon you if it is not present now. That's why we call it alive. So there's a huge difference in the now that we are participating in it, or the now that was. Look at the amazing gift. Sabhan Tawila is this. We are in it. We also hear some aspect of it in the past. What a magnificent gift of amana. But we have to be worthy of absorbing it, taking it, living it, being at one with it. And that worthiness is the extent of bereftness, is the extent of honesty of being ignorant, the extent of honesty of being humble, the extent of honesty of being willing to move with life as it leaves you. Not fear of death when we're next year, not now, I have another thing to do. Why? You're hanging on air. What right have you? All what you have is duties. And the primary duty is to acknowledge kullun min andillah. All of it is from the one, whether you like it or not. And if you like it, then you are nurun ala nur, then you are in a garden in this world temporarily, and you're heading for the permanent garden of timelessness after you leave the body. This is our deen.
I think we're obsessed in a sense with the khuld, but taking it in the wrong way. Khalidina, it's like we call it the attraction of eternity in the self. But like Adam, he was told, take from the tree so that you become Khalidina. He didn't realize that the inner Khalid is the technology of Khalidina is the inner technology.
Exactly. And that's the fall of Adam. And that is why قُلْنَا اهْبُطُوا بَعْضُكُمْ عَدُوٌّ لِبَعْضٍ. And with that comes duality. Duality has no place in the Jannat al-Khuld. It has to come down to the earth. So as there is the suffering and there is the warfare. بَعْضُكُمْ عَدُوٌّ لِبَعْضٍ. Half of you is the enemy of the other half. That's why on the one hand or on the other hand. Until you are exhausted, until you really realize that you have entered into a war zone that you are not worthy of it. You want peace. If you don't have peace, how can you move from insaniya to recognizing its origin and its presence of essence of ruhaniyya or rububiyya in terms of ubudiyya? That is mizan. Al-abd, when it is faces al-Rabb, then slowly in time when an independent will is lost, so it is the will of the divine that there is only one. So that's it. It's a process, it's work in progress. And with it comes also every now and then a great deal of difficulties and doubts and rejections and hayra and uncertainty. They're part of it. So it's peeling off, and you just have to flow with it. And Allah does it such that when you're really in a zone of real uncertainty, but with humility and with acceptance, suddenly you find you have been catapulted to a higher zone of consciousness, to another zone of this ascent. The entire thing is an ascent through the arc of rising consciousness.
Yes, I mean,
go back to it. Do you find any fault? Even if you were the God of gods, would you do it any differently? And one test for that is that everybody wants power. And one of the most important, if you like, culturally thing that we have been completely hooked to is the power of money, because it's abstract. So I can use it in every which way. So what if you corner yourself, you say, all right, other than just an immediate remedy for hunger or for medication or for a bit of a shelter, these are needed. Once you have these, what if you are given the trillions, I don't know from where it comes, and every government is trying to grab more in order to waste more so that they get re-elected. Supposing you have been given all of that, what would you do with it? If your real state is in that balance, then you find yourself truly saying, thank you, I don't want it, I can't do anything. I will disturb the balance even more. Please take it away. Or if you like to challenge yourself more, think of you, suddenly you find in this lockdown, whatever, at the door, there are two huge trucks. They've brought you, 78 tons of gold between the two trucks. They say, sir, this is the thing sign here, but what are you going to do with it? Where are you going to keep it? You're going to be sleepless because the neighbors will soon discover you have got all that stuff. We have become exceedingly clumsy in our attitude towards the light of our life. That's why we have become, in many ways, worse than vicious animals. We've become more and more aggressive, more and more in conquest, more and more war upon this, war upon that. What about war upon your own ignorance as to who you are? That's difficult.
Yeah, the Ubudiya that is as in the Quran is really, in a sense, is the primal mission. As Allah says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn and humankind except to be an ibadah. And also, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ. Yeah, that's a universal degree. We like it or not, everything is, what we do is ibadah. We're ignorant or not.
Please, Dr. Adnan, explain the English of the second verse that you just recited.
I apologize, yes. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ. And your Lord has decreed that you not worship except Him. So that's a decree. It's not something I choose to do or not. Everything I do, even my denying of worship, is itself an ibadah. So there's another thing is that relating, Shaykhna, the absolute and the relative. In the Surah Fussilat, we have the verse, سَنُرِيهِمْ آيَاتِنَا فِي الْآفَاقِ وَفِي أَنفُسِهِمْ. We will show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves. حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ. Until it becomes clear to them that it is, or He is, the truth. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ إِنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Is it not sufficient that your Lord is over things a witness? So, now we have the signs of the horizons and the signs within themselves. These are changeable. These are relative, right? So the signs of the cosmos, the physical world, the natural world, and the signs in myself, my mind, my inner faculties, and all that. But then he goes to says, حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُ الْحَقِّ. And that's haqq is unchangeable. It is absolute. So in some ways, the relative points to the haqq. But I was always wondering how can I see the haqq in the relative until I'm looking at the verse, unless it actually is in the first word, sanurihim. There is something in me that can witness, that is unchanging, that can witness the relative. And it seems to me that is what effectively the haqq is, the soul consciousness. And then we have the witnesses over everything. Isn't that
now a child has no notion as to any desires. 2-month-old has got a very basic, notion of taking milk or something, but there is no will, there is no desire, there is no attraction, there is no attachment. So as we grow more and more, we say, no, I want more, 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 more. By the time you are in your 20s, you want to be always number one, you always want to be acknowledged, because rububiyyah is in you, the nur of Allah, the nur of haqq is in you, and that is the paramount. So you are trying to mimic it. So you want to be always number one, and that's why the child needs the acknowledgement of parents whom he looks up to. So as he is lifted towards rububiyyah within the heart. So by the time you are 30, 40, 50, so it moves on that until such time you have within you, within the nafs, there is also a horizon, which is the ultimate. So this is how tasbih, because tasbih implies also ease. Sabbaha, from sabaha, to float, to swim, to be at ease. That's why we like swimming in a sense. It's healthy for you. So that there is least effort and you are connected to the ocean, to the water, so that it gives it a better chance for you to transcend the limitations of space and time of the ego. All of it is for us to transcend without denying the identity, without denying the animal side from which we have emerged over billions of years. So it's all connected. That is why also from science, as you know, more and more now it's been shown that in truth, you have no choice. There is no such thing as freedom. There are patterns. If you fall into a certain pattern, you end up in a situation which is very undesirable and not reversible. But you have to be careful as to which pattern, which laws are you allowing yourself to be subject to. Is it the ones on the horizons and Nurun ala Nur, or is it the marsupial, basic, earthy, lowest of the lowest, if you like, of consciousness? So this is where I think the whole world is at. We need to encourage each other to accept the animal need and limit it, rather than, no, the sky is the limit. This culture we're living in is exceptionally violent and exceptionally brutal. We have been practicing it for several centuries. Wherever we go in New Earth, we find some people different to us, and they're content with having few berries and few things. No, destroy them, because we are higher culture, because we are manufacturers, we are scientific, and all of them. Science, science, science. Look, an unknown tiny entity closed down the whole world. And now everybody is trying to recalculate how can they reignite their miserable GDP. Where is your unconditional love? How can you ever move to a higher zone of Ubudiya Ruhaniyya unless you enter into the zone of unconditional generosity? Which means you are not aware of your generosity. If you are aware, you are calculating. It's part of a trade, which is all right. But if a trade doesn't end up with pure love, then it doesn't connect the infinite with the finite, the absolute with the relative. That's where we are collectively failing. And then we talk about God, the loving, the love. What about the viciousness of a magnificent beast in the wilderness? Where is the love there? It's love of hayat, love of his or her own life, the lion or whatever. At that level, their intellect, their reason is limited. So they don't realize that they are also killing another animal. So you have to be honest that once the Adamic consciousness rose, whatever, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 years ago, with it arise this immense responsibility that there is no me. Who is the me? Where did I get my life from? There is only that which is the beginning and the end and in between, and it has no beginning and it has no end. That's it. Once you accept that, then you don't fool around like all our so-called leaders who are misleading the whole world. It's a big tragedy. If somebody now really tells us that the sixth extinction is absolutely on, you cannot really rationally or giving evidence or reason deny it. So you better wake up now before there is no tomorrow. Wake up to what? That there is no you. And that you was only a shadow of the divine light, which you call your life. There is no such thing as your life. This is isolation, this is duality, this is arrogance. Until such time you know there is only life, and your life is not separate from that, then you are entering into a magnificent beam of light, which leads you to get out of the usual fear of death. No story is ever complete without its end. So you and I and everyone, none of us is complete unless we've tasted experiencing death regularly. By consciousness, stop everything. Go into your own grave and disappear. So you don't need to have, where are the people who have come from the other side of the rainbow to tell us about death? You do it. You find there is no such thing. It's another experience. It's another version of consciousness than you have in deep sleep. It's much higher, much different, much deeper. Not until you know your personal life is not separate from eternal life, not until then you fear death. You want to leave your mark. You want to change the world. You want to leave something behind that remember you. Why you? You can never ever forget the light of the source of all. So what is the point of me being remembered? Who is the me? It is a shadow of the it. So there is only that. Once you have that, then you are liberated from the illusion of the lower self or ego, which is necessary for you to reach this magnificent conclusion. That's all. So you understand others struggling on that pattern. Help them a bit if you can. Encourage them if you can. If not, keep away. Don't discourage. Don't bring more misery. There is enough of all that illusion that by acquiring power, acquiring money, I can control. What is it? The billions are not going to help. The trillions are not going to help. Where is that love? Where is that joy? Where is that thrill that never ends? There's no point in having a silly little party pretending now we are having a jolly good time. And everybody is jealous, looking at each other for who is more. Why are you kidding? I think the whole world has moved evolutionary-wise to a zone that you can't continue this, charade of pretense. Enough is enough. Everybody dressed up, put up these ties, put up the hats. It's ridiculous. It's a fancy dress party, but nobody's appreciating it anymore. So now people are with this lockdown, suddenly ending up facing their own clothes cupboard. What the heck did I need all these for? What about all the shoes? What about all these other dresses? For what? We are really utter fools until we start celebrating, discovering our foolishness. We can't celebrate the light that shines upon discovering foolishness. That's what.
Thank you, Shaykh Fadhlalla. Adnan, can you unpack a little bit some elements of this state of Ubudiya? Is it all a matter of the self-disclosure of God? Do we have a say in this matter? Do we bring anything to our state of worship?
Good question. For me, I see that the spectrum of reality, the whole of reality is a divine agency. I call Ubudiya for me is a divine agency. So it has some kind of semi-individuality, but structured by relationship, by the culture, by society and everything. But that agency is that the self-soul unit. It's a spectrum of arwah, Shaykhna would like. So the arwah are spanned from the simplest form to the most complex, the Adamic self.
Arwah being the plural of the word ruh.
Ruh. So the manifest is the self, and the hidden, you can say, the batin is the ruh for every entity. What we see is only the self, but every entity has its is what Shaykhna also mentions, is if you use a metaphor of a bundle of energy, a bandwidth that is. So the simplest form has a very narrow bandwidth. So these frequencies in that bandwidth are like the attributes. So the virus would have certain attributes for life and this drive for growth and adaptation and so on. The plant is the energy conversion. Animal life expresses rudimentary cerebral intelligence. To human sentience, and this is why this bandwidth, we say it's the Adamic prophetic model, which contains all its attributes in the soul. That's what the meaning taught Adam all the names. So, however, although these are they look like independent entities, but there is an essential matrix or fabric to those. That is what Shaykhna calls consciousness, continuity, and connectivity.
The three C's.
Yes, the three C's. There is only reality, one soul. Nafsun wahida. But its manifestations, it's these bandwidths in order to express that divine decree of ibadah. Right? So وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِيَّاهُ. Why is that? Why does he do? What's in it for him? Because that pure light of consciousness is only known to itself purely. None knows God but God. The only way is to have a shadow, the manifestation. And all these shadows that where all the attributes now become differentiated. Then you have the malaika, you have everything with its own band. But the combination of that is وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. So that, as Ibn Arabi says, he desired to see all his attributes in a finite. So that Iblis cannot see that. Iblis sees only the form, so he cannot worship. or be in sujood, because he is not aware. He doesn't have that capacity to see that the light of the soul, which is really none other than a reflection of the absolute. So you have pure consciousness derived from supreme consciousness. Pure consciousness, the soul. That what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing right now, all my consciousness, what I'm aware of, it's not the brain that is aware of. The eyes cannot see. It is the soul that sees. It is the soul that is السميع البصير. ليس كمثله شيء. The absolute, none other, cannot be known. You cannot approach him. However, he is the Sami' al-Basir. He is behind everything, all hearing and all seeing. In all the multitudes or the infinite points of view, we can say, of creation, are all points of seeing. These shadows or the manifestations are what points to the absolute, the relative. So we have this complementarity of Ubudiya and Rububiya. They work together in this magnificent, as Shaykhna mentioned. Anything else, Shaykhna?
Yes, they are so resonating until there is complete entanglement. So that's it. So
You
there's
mean the
no
self
more
and the soul?
No, nafs and the ruh, or Rabb and the abd, there is such an entanglement, and then differentiation is lost. That means you've gone beyond the mind, because the mind is only there to distinguish. The mind is an intermediate agency between the absolute, the ruh, and the relative, the identity, the me, this solid. So once this resonance between the absolute and the relative becomes at such a high frequency, then it goes beyond the mind's ability to contain it, to differentiate. So then you are liberated. We're all seeking to be free. Free of what? Of the illusion of you that I am independent. There's no such thing as I'm independent. I'm totally dependent on what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've touched, what I got attached to, what I fear, and the things that I kept secret in me, the things that I revealed. So I am a bundle which has occurred as a result of millions of connectedness of sparks that brought me to this particular moment. And if this moment is to be real and genuine and transmitting and radiant, then it has to calibrate with timelessness. And that's going beyond the mind, beyond the reason, beyond the biography, beyond the illusion of, I need to have status, I need to have respect, I need to have this. All what you need is to discover that your ruh has no need. Your ruh has no need. If that is not going to liberate you, nothing will liberate you. The so-called body, because it has a mind, it has needs. So it is humbled. But the ruh is beyond humble and honor. It has no need. It is not in time, not in space. So the best metaphor for that, how did this arwah occur, is look at the galaxies. Look at the millions and billions and trillions of these galactic realities. They're all connected. And so are the arwah. The arwah of cats are different from that of the ants. But they كل في فلك يسبحون. They're all also in their own sphere interacting and flowing with ease. This is very important, this ease, idea of ease. So Allah reminds us in the Quran, says, كُلٌّ مُيَسِّرٌ لِمَا خُلِقَ لَهُ. Whatever exists has been made easy for it to exist in that way. That's it. A poison is in that way, so it poisons. And then. So you have to flow with ease as far as the beams emitting from your own heart, from your own soul. That's why it's important to keep a pure heart, clear mind. So at any time, you can go beyond the limitation of space and time. We have immense possibilities in going 10 times around the whole earth in less than a fraction of a second. Not until we, each one of us, can experience situations beyond the mind at a speed more than that of light. Not until then, we are still within this gravitational field, which is heavy. For you to be able to take off, you need to lose your mind, lose the cover limitations of the mind. As human, you need the mind. You need to refer to that which is within the boundaries of cause and effect, good and bad, up and down, beginnings and ends. But if you want to truly be in greater unison with your soul, with the divine spirit in your own heart, you need to quieten the mind. Give it whatever it needs. If your body is aching, the mind will dictate to take care of that. A bit of shelter, a bit of comfort, a bit of ease. But if you allow it, then it ends up being the world of excessive abusiveness and waste that we are living in. The individual and the collective are not separate. None of us is separate from the entire earthly situation we are living in and suffering from. And the offer of liberation starts from the push and the drive to get out of suffering, to move out of needs and misery and unhappiness. What is happiness? Happiness is a byproduct of not being anymore the so-called ego whom you have given yourself an identity of, a biography of. It's the beginning of being Ruhani. That is the offering. And then from the Ruhani comes, no, I'm also Insani, so don't trod on my feet because they are my toes, and I am, put in a position of the steward to look after my body. So I will scream, or I need to care for my health, basically. But it ends up being an obsession because I have the illusion that caring for my health, I'm going to live longer. For how long? Your life has no end, nor did it have a beginning. But it's not yours. It has now embodied, taken on the form of your body, which is an accident. Your color, your race, your thing, as well as most of the cases of your religion, they are accidents. So now you have a responsibility of getting out of this tunnel to be so-called liberated. The word freedom doesn't exist in the Quran. To be free. Free of what? You are both insan and rayhan. You are both abd and rub. So you are between the two. And the real you is a light that is not between anything. Nurun ala nur. It is one of those amazing gifts that are beyond any miracle. So not until you are worthy of it, you will not see the treasure. At the moment you are going collecting pebbles of stones. But what if you are told that the greatest mines in the world, whether it is gold, whether it is diamond, are all yours? What are you going to do? You're going to have 500 of these diamonds all around you? What are you going to do? Supposing you have it all. We need really to corner the nafs, genuinely, with love and affection. And then suddenly you find, in truth, it doesn't exist. It's only there as a shadow to point out towards the light of your own ruh, which is Rabbani, Rouhani, and that's it. For that, you need a bit of companionship. Because occasionally, the nafs will start accusing you that you are mad. Until such time you realize, no, the rest of them are insane. You are the only one who really, by rahmah, managed to touch upon a zone of the infinitude which is in you. That's all. Adnan, thank you. Thank you for being at the same time that I am in this world.
You have more time, Muna? Or
Yes, we have a bit more time. Adnan, I was just thinking perhaps you could unpack a little bit this. I mean,
He's the best man to do it.
Very powerful.
There's no better person than Adnan to unpack. I think you need to have another session with him alone. And I will be sitting by the side playing with the cat maybe, or something. Really, please do it, or I won't be there.
Yeah, maybe with
There is no better man you have than Adnan to do a decent quality unpacking. Bismillah.
Maybe one point to go through. One more point.
I wanted you to unpack a little bit for us the this powerful idea of this immediate connection that we can have, that there's this
Yeah.
there's this inexorable movement, as Shaykh Fadhlalla has been describing, towards awakening, towards that singularity, towards that oneness. So I'm still trying to understand or see, how does the human, you use the word agency, that means free will. What are the elements that we bring into this, into the state of devotion? I mean, not all of us are feeling this obsession. May it come to all of us, of that incredible loving Allah, being absolutely devoted to that and being in that joyful state. So what are some of those there's a vertical thing going on, but there's also other things going on. Could you talk about that?
I mean, just a note, you mentioned agency is not necessarily free will. It's in reality, there is only one will, and we are hanging by that will. So Ubudiya is really that. But as you mentioned, for me, that the human agency, the Adamic soul, is the interspace, the barzakh between the heavenly and the earthly, where they join. So we have the horizontal, the earthly dimension. We have certain tools and given faculties that are both magnificent and also trouble. So I bracket that horizontal between the two faculties of fikr and aql. So fikr is from thought and reflection, the analysis side. Aql is to bind, to ratio, duality, reasoning. So that's what we have in the horizontal dimension. That's what we approach the horizons. That's how all our sciences are devoted to. Everything is. However, they're also trouble because they might veil. Going too much, they veil the other side, the vertical. For me, that's the dimension of dhikr.
Dhikr meaning remembrance.
Dhikr, remembrance. So in the Quran, for example, it talks about Ahl al-Dhikr and also Ahl al-Fikr, or الذين يتفكرون, الذين يعقلون. These are all
those who think, those who contemplate, those who
think, thought, whatever. But they're kind of in two dimensions, in different dimensions. So if we look at fikr, for example, fikr, I'll read the Arabic, a nice Arabic definitions. والفكر إنما هو وظيفة العقل. الفكر هو جولان العقل بين الذاكرة والخيال. So fikr, that reflection, is a faculty of aql, you can say, but it is traveling between memory and imagination. I found that a profound, because you are always in that position. Memory is past. Imagination opens up possibilities to the future. So you're never in the now with those. You're always, looking out outwardly. However, dhikr, the remembrance, is presence. It's الحضور معه بجمعية العقل والقلب. It's the gatheredness of mind and heart in presence. Dhikr. It is a different dimension. There's no memory there. There's only the now. There's only the absolute. You are in the presence of supreme consciousness. Consciousness aligned with your own consciousness, completely aligned. Alignment of self-soul. In such a time that there is no self. It's just the light of the soul completely encompasses. فذكر الله والحضور معه بلا غفلة. Presence without, غفلة.
Heedlessness, forgetfulness.
وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. Dhikrullah is his mentioning of us. It is that primordial kun fayakun, which is, again, it's not something in the past, this is the here and now. Now, kun fayakun is allowing us to do this. But are we in presence, or are we all over the place in fikr and dhikr? I mean, there's many ayahs in the Quran in terms of fikr. إنا أنزلنا إليك الذكر لتبين للناس ما نزل إليهم ولعلهم يتفكرون. we reveal to you the message, al-dhikr he mentioned here. I mean, it's different to say when he mentioned sometimes the Quran, and he specifically mentioned the dhikr, that you make clear to the people what was sent down to them and that they may reflect. So this is mentioning fikr.
I think Shaykh Fadhlalla is right that we might benefit from another session of you unpacking all these different elements of the state of the abd, the qualities or the faculties that are acting, these inner senses.
Some time ago since I stopped packing, so I don't think I can unpack anymore. But one point I want to add to what Dr. Adnan has been so beautifully elaborating, and that is the origin of the origin of the origin of dhikr is timeless. And the ayah also, several ayahs, the main one says, هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Wasn't there a time that came upon you as a so-called being, human being, or identity? Wasn't there a time or a situation, an era, that nobody could even mention that you ever exist, you ever come? Timelessness. And that is why dhikr is original. Dhikr is the first beam that is transmitted from the absolute. So, because it's in you, but it's the first beam. So you have to forget everything else until you know, of course it is there. So there's nothing more, there is nothing higher, nothing more, in fact, nourishing in the spiritual sense more than silence, because that's where it is. Once it comes out, then it comes fikr, it comes all of the other things that Dr. Adnan was elaborating upon. And also from people who are starting on the path, it's correct to be as best as you can in performing your ibadah as well as it can be, and following the right, correct courtesy, approach, the right wudu, the right awareness, the right remembrance. Where is Qibla? Where are you? Is it correct? Are you authorized? Are you given permission to pray on the land that you are praying in? And on and on and on. And then it comes to you more and more until such time you forget it all. You've gone beyond now reason, beyond your mind. You have now moved from discipline of fikr or accountability or remembrance or courtesy or all of that into another zone which is touching the infinite. So then you can say truly, if you forget something, Allah made you forget it. It is not lack of discipline, it was not lack of intent, it was not lack of commitment. You've suddenly been, Allah stripped you of your mind. It happens to all of us. An occasion comes, suddenly you don't know why you did this, you see. Or why did you apologize, or you kept quiet, or you gave a gift to somebody who had hurt you. You don't know. It's not you. The so-called you is, the human side is very selfish. Me, and more me, and more me. Until such time, you begin to discover that this is the cause of all your misery. It is it. So the way to it is to open up a bit. Give without expectation. Until such time, there's no longer you are the giver. Allah has used you as a silly little creature to give. That's all. That is why, generosity and helping those needy, whether it is for health, for food, for whatever, or survival, is a good thing. For its own sake. Not sitting there and expecting to be given more. No, serve. And that's why, in a way, motherhood has got that advantage. Serving this little lump of flesh without any, she dies for that. That's the potential is there more. But then it becomes more and more existential. The daughter was now she's 60 years old, but she's still concerned about this, the daughter. She's not very happy. What do you mean happy? She's practicing misery, so how can you make her happy? So you have to be real. You have to read the map until it is read for you naturally, without you even knowing which page, which chapter. It's read for you. سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله. So you first, by وجد واجتهاد, you have to do your utmost on and be accountable, apologize, regret, astaghfirullah for 2 years, until such time, لا بجد واجتهاد عطاء من الجواب. So you have to be honest where you are. It's not because you can read the book, it doesn't mean anything. You haven't read anything. You just regurgitated and made some noise. It is appropriateness, context, as it matches your inner state. That is the right match. That is the right connectedness, which is the door of the vastness of Tawheed. That's why we need Dr. Adnan to really take on serious teaching for people who are ready at that stage. Really, please do that. Do a session with people who are really losing themselves. They are in hayra. They are then it will filter down. I think we are at a time in this world that the darkness and the suffering is so prevalent that this light we are now enjoying to bask in its delight should be made available. And I'll do whatever I can also in between.
Thank you so much, Shaykh Fadhlalla. Thank you. And thank you, Adnan. You took us all and plunged us like into an icy pond where we didn't know what hit us. It was so profound. And you've given us so much to think about. I don't think we can wrap our minds about it, but I think we're feeling it in the heart. Thank you for helping us touch the infinite. And inshallah, we will plan some more sessions with Dr. Adnan AlAdnani. Thank you very much. It's a great suggestion. Thank you, Shaykh Fadhlalla. May you have a blessed day. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in this. I hope you benefited. And although we don't have a chance for questions and answers, if you are keen to send in questions, you can email them into the SFH Foundation website. And at some point in the future, perhaps we can have a Q&A session where we answer some of these. But for now, Shaykh Fadhlalla and Dr. AlAdnani, thank you so much. Allah Barak Fikum, Jazakum Allah. Thank you also to everybody.
Thank you. Now you have the formula. I will do anything if Adnan is there. Otherwise, I am a nafs, and the nafs is rebellious. So I will say, no, thank you, not now, not this year. But if you wave the card of Adnan, then I'll succumb. Bismillah.
Adnan, you are our good luck charm here. Thank you. Fi amanillah. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.